Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about Noah, which is a web and mobile platform that I've been working on for the last year or so. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a production story.
Great.
I'm going to tell you a production story. I was in this business. I spent 9 years in the children's clothing business, chasing down goods from far-flung corners of the world down through the whole supply chain, selling to retailers that you guys are familiar with. But that's not the story. This is the production story. It's December 29th, 2015. It's T-minus 14 days to Chinese New Year.
My daughter's birthday, by the way.
What's that?
My daughter's birthday.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. December 29th, T-minus 14 days. The clock is ticking, and I need to take a few hours and just get my mind off of my shipments. So I head over to Madison Square Garden to go see the Fish concert, and I'm enjoying the concert, and we get to the climax of the show, and Trey Anastasio gets up there and just starts ripping this epic guitar solo, and I pull out my phone to take a video. And the minute I start to take this video, I get a banner across the top of the screen from Mr. Lu Dawei, the Loban at Jijian Ningbo Springtex Import-Export Textile Manufacturing Company Limited Incorporated, whatever. I'm sorry, Mr. Jonathan, but your cargo's gonna be late. And here I am, one of 20,000 people. My head's immediately out of this. I try to get some air. There's very little oxygen in Madison Square Garden at that moment. And my whole body just tenses up. Which cargo are we talking about? Mr. Liu, are we talking about Costco goods? Are we talking about TJ Maxx goods? Which styles are we talking about? Are we talking about all the styles? Are we talking about all the colors? What's the extent of the problem? So, before I go to sleep that night, I've already booked a plane flight to China for the next day. I get in the morning. I've got half my staff scrambling, doing email autopsies to try to compare our spreadsheets to their spreadsheets and try to get to the root cause of the issue. We've got our salespeople on the phone with buyers trying to get extensions. It's complete chaos. It's complete chaos. And this is a make or break moment for me. This is my first Costco delivery. It's a very substantial portion of my sales. This is completely make or break. So we got through it. We lived to see another day. We solved the problem the way we always solve that problem, by lots of emails, lots of spreadsheets, lots of communication, trips to China. But that was really, in my assessment, an unsustainable solution to this problem. And when I sold my business last year, I decided that I'm going to be the guy to solve this problem with technology. So let's take a look at this problem. What exactly happened here? We know how our ERP works. Our ERP is very good at tracking our inventory, tracking our sales orders to the customers, dealing with our EDI. Let's call that the sell side. Then we have the buy side, where we've got our vendors, our purchase orders, our inbound shipments, and we've got very loose connection between this buy side and sell side, because the buy side's a moving target and the sell side's a moving target. We may have our hands around the sell side mostly, but the buy side and the interrelationship there between is very, very complicated for many import-export businesses to really get their hands around. And so in my opinion, the sourcing operations, in most cases, are living off of the grid. And when that happens, we have low transparency into the process. Low transparency means very little control. We have low efficiency, which means into low productivity, which means people are spending a lot of their time, going through emails and trying to fish for information, when they should be spending their time making decisions and being able to do their work. We have slow time to market because of operating this way. We have maximum risk exposure by operating this way. We're exposed in many different ways, from the financial, cash flow perspective, banking perspective, inventory perspective, merchandise perspective, reputation risk with our customers. And this means that we're operating at a very high cost because of this because of this lack of technology and transparency and efficiency of the system itself. So I decided I'm going to be the guy to solve this problem. I created Noah, which is a purchase-to-payment platform that works on web and mobile. It lives in the Microsoft Azure cloud. It's built on state-of-the-art technology. Every business faces this problem. It wasn't unique to my business. It wasn't, and I'm sure it's not unique to your business. And we basically break the platform down into 4 parts. We have purchasing, which in broad strokes means that we're going to take all the information that lives in our ERP, like our purchase orders, our items, our vendor information, and we're going to pipe it into the cloud securely, and we're going to keep that in lockstep with your ERP. And we're going to invite our vendors, like our factories, our forwarders, our inspectors, our customs brokers, to all log into this platform as well and share that information across all of the stakeholders in this process. We have a production management piece built into Noah. That's the reason I was late this morning. Thank you for indulging. I'll show you that in a second. Where we want to know who's working on what, who's got to do what for the purpose of execution of this PO. We've got shipping. We're going to build shipments in Noah. We're going to take goods from our purchase orders. We're going to track them through, and we're going to build shipments out of those goods. We're going to do billing and receiving. We're going to create all the documents relating to the shipments. We're going to do our receiving through the system. We're going to do our billing through the billing on the AP side through the system. And we're not going to pay for one more piece or one less piece than we've already agreed to, that we know through our workflows and our work over the last several months that we've agreed to pay for. And we're going to tighten up this whole process. So Noah really fills this gap between the buy side and the sell side, and I believe that using the Noah platform, we could really solve a lot of these problems. Back to the T-minus 14 days to Chinese New Year at Madison Square Garden. That was a problem of transparency. I had no idea at that moment that I got that text message which goods they were, which customers were affected, I just went into a panic. And then everyone around me went into a panic, and it wasn't a very clean way of working the problem, because there's no single source of truth. We have to look to lots of different places to find out exactly what's going on. There are hundreds of features on the Noah platform. I'm just going to show you a couple of them over the next 10 minutes or so.
Great.
So let's dig in. Looking at the purchasing piece. In Noah, we're going to take all the information from our ERP, we're going to pipe it into the system, we're going to transmit our purchases to the factory. Let me show you what that looks like inside the platform. So we've just landed on Noah. We've got a nice dashboard here. We can see we have 296 purchase orders for $286 million. All of our items, all of our vendors are working in lockstep with our ERP. They're now on this beautiful web-based platform. We can see at a glance exactly what we have purchased, what we've got on the water, what's going to be on the water. We've got some business intelligence about which POs are late, which are on time, which shipments might have a problem. We've got our shipments live on a map. We're using satellite tracking of vessels. We can see what's on those goods visually, if that's the way that's most comfortable for us. We can look at our factories on a map and understand logistically what's going to make sense for the consolidation of this cargo. So we've tied everyone into the system. We have all our data. Now, these are our purchase orders. We have a beautiful screen where you can go and filter these purchase orders by any criteria you'd like. Which forwarder is it relevant to? Which factory is working on it? ETA, ETD. Maybe I want to filter by status or certain attributes that I've assigned to these purchase orders. I've overlaid data onto these things now, using the Noah platform. So I've clicked on purchase order 50210. I'm looking at this document, which I've templated. I've had Noah template for my company, exactly what I want my purchase order documents to look like. I can look at my PO lines with images of my items built into the system, and those images will propagate across all the documents that I'm going to use. I've taken this PO, I've decided in Noah, because it wasn't ordered in case packs, I've decided exactly how I want my case packs to be configured. Maybe I'm looking at my order data, maybe I'm looking at other information, or maybe I'd use the algorithms that are built into Noah to help me create that packing. And at any given time, I've got the history record of everything that has happened with this purchase order since it got into the system, and what has happened since it got into the system, and where are we now. So that's the purchasing piece. Back to our story of transparency. I think that speaks to transparency because we've now invited everyone to come onto the system. Everyone can now see everything. I think that speaks to efficiency because people could spend their time doing their work and they don't have to spend their time, digging for information. We've mitigated a whole lot of risk, and that's tangible cost savings for us. Let's move on. Next piece is the production management piece. Now, this is a mess. This probably does not live in your ERP. This is emails and spreadsheets and text messages and who's got to do what. So the way Noah works is that we can template a process or many processes for your company. Maybe your ladies swim division has 29 steps to complete a purchase order, and the 29 things that have to be done by the production department or the factories, and maybe a different department has 41 steps. So when a purchase order comes into Noah, we already know, based on the rules that we've set up, which process is relevant to that purchase order, which customer is it for, which department is it, whatever the rules are that we set up. Or we can change it on the fly, and we can assign tasks to all of the people who are working on that purchase order. Let me show you what that looks like inside the system. So back to our purchase order 50210, we go in, we're going to click on workflow, and we see this is the workflow that this purchase order is going to follow throughout the system. We're going to upload the tech packs, we're going to have the vendor sign the documents, we're going to attach the labels, we're going to attach the graphics, we're going to transmit the carton markings. Then we have a list of all of the items that are on this purchase order, and then for each item, we need to approve fabric, we need to approve lab dips, we have strike-offs, we're going to get TOP samples. Factory's going to report production progress to us in the middle, and that's how we're going to operate. Now, I just work here, so I want to go into the system. I want to see the tasks that are relevant to me. What do I have to work on today? Well, I can go back into my handy dandy filter screen and I can see, only the tasks that are relevant to this category or my department, or that are assigned to me, or that are relevant to a specific vendor, or maybe I want to know about tasks that are late or tasks that are going to be late. And I'm going to work my day-to-day through this system, chatting, leaving messages for the rest of my team about very specific records of data. Is it an item on a purchase order? Is it a shipment? Is it an issue relating to the vendor itself? Again, for the purpose of creating transparency, efficiency, mitigating risk exposure, and saving costs, increasing the productivity of our workforce, and not making mistakes that are very easy to make, by doing it differently and communicating differently. So now that we have a purchase order, we've been working on this purchase order for 2 months, and we're getting toward the ship date. I've just been alerted that I gotta sign this purchase order to a shipment. Now that's pretty easy now because I've already decided how I want these goods to look floor ready by going to the purchase order and specifying my case packs, my hangers, my price tickets, and all that stuff. I just have to take those groups of cartons and put them onto a shipment. Let me show you what that looks like. This is a new shipment that we're raising here in the Noah platform. We've given the shipment a name. It's Target Department 412, Spring 20. Must arrive by 12/31. Cargo's ready on 12/6. The forwarder is always port-to-port ocean service from Shanghai to Long Beach. Okay, good. Who do I want to put on that shipment? Maybe Changzhou Corduroy Corp. They're my purchase orders for Changzhou Corduroy Corp. They're the packing groups that I created for Changzhou Corduroy Corp. And I can selectively take, these aren't individual cartons, these are groups of cartons in bulk. One line could be 1,000 cartons. I've chosen my consignee information. It's going to be the same as the notified party. Save. Done. in a few clicks, I just created a shipment where before I may have had to do a whole lot more work to create that shipment. Deciding how to split a PO from one place to another place. I'm gonna send some early, I'm gonna send some late, I'm gonna send some here, I'm gonna send some there. We can track this very, very easily and clearly now in the system. And again, everybody's on the same platform with us. So this speaks to our transparency story. This speaks to our efficiency story, our cost saving story, our risk mitigation story. And we're running our business better, we're doing our jobs better, we're increasing the productivity of our workforce, we're reducing errors in our workforce. Maybe errors that are on the factory. Maybe we're preventing other people's errors. But we've continually improved the way that we're going to operate. The last piece of the system that I'm going to show you is the rest of the shipment. Cargo control is cash control. If you can control your cargo, you can control your cash. The minute you place a purchase order, the minute you sign off on a purchase order, you're relinquishing control. You have control before you fire it off to the factory. He really wants that. You have the upper hand. The minute you fire it off, you place your deposit, you open your LC, he has the upper hand. It's largely out of your control. Now, if we can control this process better, we can uncover this process and we can take that control back to us and mitigate our risk. So let's go back to our shipment screen. Let's open shipment demo 5. Okay, I pre-recorded this. It's easier to speak over the. This demo 5 is Shanghai to Long Beach, 64 cartons. These are the items that we have in our shipment. This is the packing view. My factories went in there and specified the carton dimensions of everything, and I love this next feature. We've configured exactly how these cartons are supposed to go into that container. Now, it could be that we could get more cartons into that container. We could be more efficient with our freight. We're gonna tell our forwarder now exactly how much equipment that we need. Maybe we can get more cargo into here, into the same equipment that we're already shipping. Maybe we can ship the same volume in fewer containers. Again, this speaks to our themes. I'm going to be a broken record, but our themes of efficiency, transparency, risk mitigation, and cost savings. There's a lot of cost savings in freight efficiency. It's very easily calculable. Not to mention the rest of the platform that I've just shown you. So what would I have done differently in that Chinese New Year Fish Madison Square Garden story? If I knew from Mr. Liu exactly what was in there, I could have reacted to the situation completely differently. Maybe I didn't have to get on a plane to China the next day. Maybe I could have been selling the next day. Maybe I didn't have to bog down half of my staff and harass the buyers. And my life would have been a little bit different. My business would have been a little bit different if I could just perform a little bit better. This is the story of cost savings. This is the story of speed to market, where every day is worth money on the selling floor. When you wake up, you wake up in the morning, you go to sleep at night, you're thinking about your shipments. These deadlines are constantly on your mind. It's like being in finals 24 hours a day, to take you back. So why do we call this thing Noah? So it's cute that Noah is the biblical godfather of logistics, and everyone knows the story. I don't have to tell you. But Noah is also the Hebrew word for rest, and what we want here is peace of mind. By knowing that everybody's on the same page, that we can get the cargo that we ordered on time and fulfill our obligations and continue to operate our business and do our jobs better. So that's my demo.